Nice.
Welcome, everyone, to Games Talk Live. All right, we're not a circus here. All right, well, let's get it. Look, it's I want to introduce everybody to, of course, Hargeet. He was here last week. He was here many times, but he is now the co-host of Games Talk Live right here. Hargeet, how have you been, my friend?
Yeah, so I got a little sick during the middle of the week there, and thankfully I kind of it's gone away now. But yes, my lungs were like on fire. It was very annoying. But yeah, I don't know if it was like COVID or something, but whatever it was kind of irritating for a couple of days. And thankfully now I'm back on the mend. So,
That's great. That's great to hear,
yeah.
man. Yeah, I knew you were sick for a bit. In the way of games, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so Persona 3 and 4 are leaving. 3 is the remake is coming in next month. So I
Are
figured
you
I'd skip
waiting for that one?
4.
Yeah.
But 4, I figured, okay, let's just play that one. I think they might be remaking that too, but I'm trying to finish that before it leaves tomorrow. So I'm mostly there, like 75% done. So I'm hoping to finish that up today and tomorrow.
Man. So yeah, you've already heard my tale. Woke up this morning, switched on my camera, or attempted to switch on my camera. It would not turn on. And I have a dummy battery in it. So I figured maybe it's just a dummy battery. Maybe it's just not working no more. No, I put a battery in it, fresh battery, charged, even started to charge another one, tried it, will not turn on. I don't know what's going on with my camera. So unfortunately, I'm using a webcam now, but I think it looks great. I it's a cheap webcam, but you know what? It's working. So there's that. In the way of games, though, I've personally been playing a lot of, Baldur's Gate, no doubt. I've been playing that, but I've been playing a lot of Dragon's Dogma lately, as well as Cyberpunk, the new DLC. I've been playing through that, Phantom Liberty. It's really good. But yeah, I've been playing through Cyberpunk, Dragon's Dogma. I'm really, really digging Dragon's Dogma. I didn't think I would like the game back in the day when I used to see bits of it. Because I don't know. There was something about it that wasn't clicking with me. But now I get it and I understand it. It's basically, like a third person Skyrim and like Monster Hunter and it's got some jank to it. Okay, it does. It has some jank to the mechanics.
It's old. It's like a decade old.
Kind of charming, the jank. We'll just say that. Kind of like Bethesda games. They're charming with those flaws. Anyways, I've been having a lot of fun with that. Chat, you guys can tell us what you've been playing in the chat. That'd be really great. I'd like to see what you guys are up to. People like Sith Lord and Boba Fett Gaming, Magnum Westward. It's Timmy version 2. Like all you guys, Cullen Prime. Let me know what you guys have been playing in the chat, because me and Hargeet, we're constantly playing games lately. Hargeet, so I saved this for you because we were going back and forth. You were, throwing some topics out there at me today, and there was one in particular that I didn't even look up at all, and there's a reason why. I basically wanted to have you take the floor and basically tell me what's going on here, because I'd rather hear it from you. So I didn't look this up, guys. Have no idea. Just heard this really quickly, but through you said, Hargeet, Microsoft has become the most valuable company in the world. Explain that to me, sir.
So essentially, look, it happens every now and then. Microsoft and Apple have kind of been the top two. They're sort of like a trillion above the next.
Okay.
Right. So they're usually close to each other. And depending on quarterly reports and what's happening, they'll flip flop a bit here and there. And I guess Microsoft's turn again to become the top company. I'm sure Apple will come back with some quarterly earnings and it'll flip back. That's fine. That's kind of how it goes with these two. But they're pretty much neck and neck. They've been, at that top level, the top two for, like 5-6 years, something like that, right? So I think the next highest might be Google or it's Amazon. It's one of those. But, those guys are a full like trillion below where these two are. right? So they're the top two anyway, and now Microsoft is sort of taking the top spot. I'm sure in the next 6 months it'll flip flop the other way. It kind of seems to always happen. Either way, they're ridiculously valued, very high value. Like near 3 trillion each, right? So. We're
Jeez. Like, what are we doing?
Countries that don't have GDPs like that, like seriously, there's probably like 4 or 5 countries in the world that might have a GDP higher than that. That's how freaking ridiculously wealthy.
Between these 3 companies, I mean, they could solve world hunger.
They could. They
could do so much, but
like, how much savings do you think Apple has? It's like $400, $500 billion.
Jeez. Yeah, it's just sitting there, right? Just sitting there collecting dust in the bank.
They can buy everybody a home. Like, they literally have so much money. Dude. It's ridiculous, right?
Now I know why people hate Bezos. Yeah, now I get it.
Right. Well, look, to be fair, Bezos isn't like that, right? So Bezos doesn't take a high salary. As I understand it, his salary is $80,000 a year.
What?
He just owns a whole bunch of stock of a company that's worth near 2 trillion. Right. So everybody says, oh, he earns so much money from it. But no, he doesn't really earn any of that. It's like saying you have a house and it appreciated. Oh, but you earn so much. You have a house that appreciated. You don't actually have money. You have an asset. And that's what he has. He has an asset. Right. But he'd have to sell his stock, which means he takes away his ownership of the company. I don't think he's going to do that. Right. So, but he doesn't take a lot of salary. He actually just reinvests most of it back into the company. In fact, a lot of it goes into new things that they just keep trying.
Yeah.
So I'm not as averse to them. Like we were mentioning before this, like Amazon's a great company as far as consumers.
Oh my God.
It's fantastic.
Just, with all, I know a lot of people don't like Amazon. We were talking about this before the show, guys. Amazon is so huge now that even in my backyard, they have huge warehouses, very close to me, to the point where I can order something and within just a couple of hours, it's at my door.
It shows up.
It's here. This webcam, for instance.
The downside is you don't want to have one source for everything, right? So I try to do a little bit of spreading it around. But yes, the majority of my stuff comes from Amazon. But every now and then I'll go to Best Buy, I'll go to Target or something like that, just to make sure, like Walmart, just to make sure that somebody else is still getting my business. And I don't want them all to go away, right? So, and they all have some pretty good supply chains. I like the Best Buy model where, hey, if I want something, I can order it and go to the store. It keeps the local store employed, right? Because they get a cut. And then it also keeps their online stuff going. So I think it's kind of cool to just be able to, hey, I'm going to keep everybody around because it's always cool to be able to just go into a store at some points. But, in most cases, I'm happy with the online.
I'm like that when I go into a store. I like to see, for instance, when I go to buy a TV, I actually like to go in the stores and actually look at it and play with the settings. I'll ask for the remotes and I'll start messing with it. Just because I want to see what it looks like under my settings, like what I typically use it for.
Yeah, and they're usually pretty good about saying,
they are
in this movie, and I want to watch it on all of them. I want to see what it looks like, right? And
especially when you're paying thousands of dollars, right? I mean, come on.
Very expensive TVs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm happy to give them the business. I don't mind. It's fine. They usually, because they price match anyway, right? So it's like, fine. Just show me the one that I like. Cool. And you can come and install it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. So those are the kind of things I like to keep them a lot around because that is a very convenient thing every now and then, right?
For sure.
Even something as simple as, hey, I want to try out the new Surface, right? Well, okay, I could order it, or I could go there and actually play with the keyboard and does this feel okay, right? And so you say, this one, no, this one, okay, this is pretty good. Or hey, I'll try this other laptop, right? Just simple things like that. It's just it's nice to be able to go there, right? So, but either way, but these companies, they kind of flip flop at the top. So Apple will probably take the top spot again. I'm going to guess. I'm sure they sold a whole bunch of iPhones and that quarterly report will come out and they'll get more investment.
By the way, Johnny Wild Buns. We weren't comparing Sony to Microsoft here when we're discussing this issue or this topic because
Sony is not.
No, Sony's not even in the conversation. Right? We know they're poor.
Profits of Microsoft are more than Sony's value.
We know.
The same league.
Shout out to Kay Asante, by the way. Shout out to him. Shout out to Mav. Shout out to all these good people in the chat. But yeah, that's funny that he brought him up, though. That's funny. Yeah, nobody was talking about Sony there. But yeah, that's interesting.
Big, by the way. We just don't think of him because we're talking Microsoft.
Yeah, of course. Of course,
Sony's
Sony's
a
got
huge
money.
corporation.
Yeah. Of course, we're just playing when we say they're broke or they're poor or anything like that. Because, I mean, come on, they've got money. But they don't have Microsoft money. We'll say that.
Right.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about a little bit about CES 2024. There was a lot in the way of gaming there as well. They showed off a lot of stuff like new OLEDs that are hitting high refresh rates. They showed, they had a bunch of laptops and stuff that were focusing on gaming. Of course, they always have a lot of interest in gaming at CES every year. But this year, MSI was showing off the Claw. And I don't know if you saw that. What makes this different from, like, say, the other handhelds in the game?
So
like
most of them have been using AMD, just like the consoles. They've been using the AMD processor and GPU, like, put together in an APU. This is using Intel, so it's a little different. I don't know what the performance levels are. Supposedly they're better, and it gives you, I think, more battery life. So they're somehow doing a better job. I'd have to dig into it, but I think that's kind of what I got as a overall feel for it.
Yeah,
we're really not going to know until they kind of come out with something so that we can actually get some reviews of the actual device. But it looks like it's a good competitor. So, and that's kind of what you want, right? Like, everybody else has been cookie cutter the same kind of thing. They're minor variations. And this is dramatically different because it's a whole different processor and different GPU. So it could be kind of cool to see what it's like, and maybe it gives you double the battery, and but it could be about the same too. I don't know. We'll see how it ends up, right? So, right, there's always paper and then there's reality.
Is it substantially like more powerful than, say, the ROG? Or is it
so like the Rogue Ally and the Lenovo, and there's another one too,
is it
right?
ROG or Rogue? Yeah, I
don't know. It's ROG. It's supposed to be Republic of Gaming. I think that's what it is. It's a line of gaming stuff from Asus, right? I don't know if it's ROG or Rogue, however they want to say it. But and then there's the Aya Neo and like stuff. They're all based on the same AMD. So as far as this one though, because it's different, it has a potential to perform differently. So we'll see how well it does, right? We'll have to actually have it be tested when we actually get review units, right? So that we can see how it performs against the competitors. But yeah, it does have a potential to be better. So that's kind of cool, right? So we're starting to see some variations. The only thing is I hope they can sell enough of these things to make it worth it, right? To kind of keep doing this, right? So, and then it's still Windows. That's my main headache with that. Windows is good in that it gives you compatibility. It's bad in that it's Windows. It kind of expects to be mouse and keyboard.
You know, it's funny you say that because, like, my son, he had the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And with the Steam Deck, it was basically Linux based. And
the OS.
There were certain things that he wanted to access through Windows, so he put Windows on the system. But yeah, it's funny you say that some people are actually putting Windows on their handhelds. On the Steam
Decks. It's really cool in that it gives you full compatibility, right? You really can do anything, but it's not designed to be a tablety OS fully. It has tablety mode stuff, but it's still very keyboard mouse centric. They really need to do a lot more work to make it work as a console. The funny thing is, it's so close. They have it. They just need to take it from Xbox. They already own it. They just take the Xbox UI and put it on top of Windows, and there you go. You're good to go. But
I'm just not a big fan of handhelds. I don't know. There's just something about them that don't really captivate me at all. Like I've tried to play Switch many times handheld. I usually just play it in the dock if I do play a game, and it's usually with the family anyway. But like my son's Steam Deck, I've messed with it, but it's just not for me. I've never been that way. Even going back to the Game Boy and the Game Gear, the Sega Game Gear and stuff. Yeah. My friends had all that stuff. I was not interested. I was like, but do you have a Nintendo at home? Do you have a Sega at home? That's what I want to play. I was all about the consoles.
Yeah, I think the cool thing with it is the portability, right? Is if you are traveling, and I had to travel for a bit, And then it becomes very convenient to have something like that, because at least you can take it with you and game, right? Rather than take a whole bloody console. And I think having something like this allows you to kind of do that. You can take a little dock that does the USB-C to HDMI and plug it into your TV in the hotel, right? And at least you have now a full, basically a full console. It's just in a portable format, right? So you can take that with you and put it in your carry-on bag. That's kind of the cool thing with it, right? Yeah, I agree with you that the small screen can be kind of a headache. But I guess if you're on a plane, it's still something, right? So, and depending on what you play, it could be fun, right? Intricate games with a lot of detail, obviously that's going to be somewhat challenging. Tetris, that'll work, right? Something like that. You could easily play that.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of pick and choose, right?
I know
where you are.
It's just that whenever I'm out and about, I just don't play games like that. I usually just delegate that to the home. It's pretty much games or home use only for me. I don't know, chat. Are you guys like that? Do you just not care for handhelds? I don't know. I see a lot of people taking interest in handheld devices these days. It just seems like they're a lot of people in this community anyway are buying a lot of these types of devices and stuff. But I don't know, man. It's just not for me. It's not for me.
I think with the Windows and having the Game Pass, I think you don't have to buy the games anymore. You just have like an automatic library, and it just gives you a compelling reason to try it out, right? And see if it's of value. It also gets you like a small hook into PC gaming to see what that's like, right? And is that something you want to go down, right? And it's not the thousands that you'd have to spend. It's like $400 for the Steam Deck or $700 for a Rogue Ally. It's relatively cheap, right? And you're now in PC gaming. You see what that's like. Is that a value to you or not, right? So it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, and a lot of people. What's interesting to me is a lot of people will buy these handheld devices, these PC handheld devices, yet they will only use them at home. They don't take them out and about. I've seen a lot of people say that, and they just basically use it. I mean, case in point, you even got the PlayStation Portal that you can't really take around. That's stuck for home use, really. I mean, there are some places that allow you to use the Wi-Fi without a browser, but let's face it, a lot of areas don't. You need to access a browser to bring in the toss and terms of service, but. That's such a fucking oversight. I was blown away by that oversight, by the way. But no, a lot of people are using these handheld devices at home, and it's like, you got your computer or you got your freaking console right there. Why aren't you just using that on your big screen? And they're just like, well, I can lay in bed and I can do that, and I'm just like, I'm not doing that.
I mean, it's really the like, hey, the TV is being used by everybody else, and I'm gonna just go off and do something. Or while they're watching some movie, I can sit here.
Got you.
Right, that kind of thing. I get that. I get those things. Yeah. In my case, it's like I just buy another TV. So we have like 6 TVs in the house with 5 people, and one of them's a baby.
Yeah, no, I get it, because there's times I'm kicked off the TV too. It's like, hey,
so and
we're
each
gonna
one
watch
of them has an
movie.
Xbox, so play whatever you want, watch whatever you want. I don't care, right? Yep. So that way, I never have that contention. If I want to play, I just play. Exactly. So I hear you there, but I understand. Like in a lot of families, like first they just don't want to do that, right? They don't want to put a TV in a bedroom. They don't want to put a TV in a kid's room. They want to have a central TV because it can control everything. Then fair enough. And then hey, if everybody's watching a movie, then you can't game. Hey, now you can take the little portable and play. I get it, right? But that is an interesting use case, and I'm sure there's enough of it. But yeah, like you thought, I would just like go get the TV. The TVs are so cheap. Just buy the TV, and like $200 to get a Series S. You've got a second machine. Go play your games.
Exactly. But no, if anybody's interested in the Claw, how much is that going to set you back? Did they say any kind of price point?
$700. I think it's the same.
$700 is about the same as the ROG or the Rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not bad for the price. I mean, and you can, I believe. Oh, I know the Steam Deck you can. Don't know about those other 2 devices, but you can hook them up to monitors, right?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
in the case of the Rogue Ally, they actually have a dock, an official dock, if you want to buy it. They also have an expansion, if I
Yeah.
remember right, it's them, where you get a 4090. You can get a 4090 dock,
Oh,
and it'll give
wow.
you a docked 4090 and an undocked whatever it's got locally. So
Docked
you basically,
4090.
yeah, so you
Holy
basically have
crap.
the best of both worlds. The dock costs like 2 grand, I think, to get the 4090.
Of course. Yeah.
But in
It's a
comparison, if you had
4090.
to build a PC, right, with a
It's a
4090, a
yeah.
4090 is like $1,500
Yeah.
on its own. So it's not bad, really, because you have a portable device that you can play around, and then you just dock it, and the dock plus the 4090 is like 2 grand. You now have, I think it's 2 grand. You now have, full 4090 graphics, sitting at home on a little, thing.
Oh man.
And it's hooked up to your TV, right? You can hook it up to your monitor if you like, but you just hook it up to your TV and you're good to go. So yeah, they do have that option, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Not for me, but for you guys out there that want to spend $700 on a handheld device, it's all about you, I guess. I did see in the chat that Keasante says, as a busy dad, he handheld devices work for him, and I can see that. I get it. I understand. It's just not my thing. That's all. Johnny Wild Buns, you are wild, man. You are wild, my friend. He said something earlier. What was he saying? Oh man. Oh, he said the Portal has a great grip though. No joke. A sliced controller in half. Yeah, that's basically what it is though. With a tablet stuck in between,
Yeah.
So yeah, you got your DualSense, your DualSense controller. Speaking of DualSense, yeah, this is a good segue.
Yeah.
PlayStation is actually releasing a DualSense 2. And this was leaked by Walmart Canada, of all places. It's always freaking Walmart that leaks stuff. It's always freaking Walmart. Basically, it's a regular DualSense with an upgraded battery life, because we all know how bad that battery is, folks. Yeah, I don't know. Hargeet, do you have a problem with your battery life on your PS5 controller? Because I definitely do.
I mean, when I had one, yes, but I just presumed it sucked. So I left it plugged in. So the way I have mine set up, I play on my bed. So I actually have like a nightstand with a USB thing on it. And you know how the Elite controllers have like their little case that you dock them into?
Yeah.
So I have those cases in a drawer. And I just have the USB permanently connected to my PS5 controller. Because it always would run out. Even when it was PS4, it would always run out. So I'm like, I'm sick of this. So I just had it permanently connected to USB.
That's what I do with my PS4.
So I never ran out of power because I just assumed it was going to run out of power. The Elite, on the other hand, I think I can leave it up for days, no problem.
Yeah, I've never bought an Elite because it's pricey.
It's like 30 hours.
It's pricey, but I did hear the battery life is excellent.
It's so good.
It's so good. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. But here's what's funny about this DualSense 2. So they just dropped a PS5 Slim model.
Yeah.
This new controller gets dropped, yet this isn't packed in with the new Slim model. And it's kind of messed up, but because people are, they go out and buy this new Slim model or getting a controller, but it's not as good as this new one that's going to be taking the place of the old controller with a better battery life. And I'm sure some of you, if you don't know, you're probably asking how much better. Well, 3 times better. Apparently it gets, instead of like 3-4 hours with all the features, you're getting like 12 hours. So it's a solid upgrade.
And we'll see if it's like heavier, like to have that battery or not, right? We'll have to see what they do with it. And I don't know if they're bundling it in or if it's going to always be an add-on that you have to buy separately. And if it is an add-on, well, hey, that's the way it is, right? Controllers make money. It's a really good way to make money. So,
well, for Xbox, it seems like, dude, I have not met a community that has bought more controllers than the Xbox community.
I know they make so many, but they're like so.
It's
cool.
like I gotta have that color. Gotta have that color. I mean, they're just.
The Halo edition. I gotta have it. The Gears edition. Oh my god, the Gears edition.
Dude, I've never been that way. I always use the packing controllers till they die, and then I go out and buy a new one. That's like when I buy a new one, and it's
So
usually
cool.
like the standard black regular controller because that's what I can afford. Oh yeah, I did go out and buy this one because this one was beautiful. I had to get
Yeah,
the Starfield
the
one.
Starfield.
It's
I don't know if it'll
freaking.
even show, but I have
I love it.
the 20th anniversary.
Oh yeah, that's a really nice looking controller. I did see
Yeah,
that one.
the see-through.
Yeah, yeah, that is cool. The blue and the green contrast there as well. The see-through body it's a nice controller. But again, Xbox dudes, you love your controllers. PlayStation guys aren't really all about that. And I think that for a long time, PlayStation and probably still don't really make a bunch of custom controllers.
Which is just a
You have
fail.
a
I mean, why
few
not do it?
colors.
It's an easy thing to make money off of because you know there's going to be enthusiasts. If you make a Spider-Man controller, you think people aren't going to buy it?
Oh
You can
hell
make a
yeah, they
God of
would.
War controller, of course they'd
Yeah,
buy it. Why not?
yeah.
I make the money, like, and it's literally pure profit, right? They just make profit off of accessories. So what's the point of not doing it? If you're running into profit issues, why not just do that?
Exactly right. No, instead we're gonna split the games in half and sell you one half now for
Right?
50 and the other half for 50 later. It's like
Raise
how
PS Plus by
stupid
$40. Like,
do you have to be?
or
No, we're not
I mean,
saying that's
people
what's
will
going to
definitely
happen,
buy
people,
them.
but rumored that's what they kind of are throwing around, splitting games.
It's not rumored. This is from the leaks. From
Yeah,
Sony.
yeah. But for sure, yeah,
So
I
that was
should say
part of their
that. Yeah,
plan.
yeah. That's
So
sad, though. Sad. Raise prices on everything, and instead of just coming up with good ideas, if there's
you don't have
a
to go far. And by the way, Nintendo does it all the time. I've got a
Mhm.
Zelda controller. They do it all the time. They'll make
Yeah,
Pokemon controllers. They'll
true,
make
true.
Mario all the time. They make consoles. They'll make a Mario console. They'll make a Zelda console and sell them
And
cheap.
people will double
How do you
dip.
think they have so many? Yeah, exactly.
I
Why do
know.
you think they sell so many consoles? It's like,
It's
oh, this is Zelda one. I gotta buy it.
yeah, exactly. I remember for a while people were buying the Animal Crossing
Yeah.
Switch. It was like a big
Hey, what
ticket
the
item.
heck? If people buy it, why not? You're making money. Why not? Just sell it.
You'd think Sony would look at the other two major players in the game and go,
Right?
huh, maybe we should do some of that. But they don't. It's weird. It's weird. Instead, they just want to gouge the player base. They want to hunt us down for more money. And it's like, dude, if you just did certain things, you see that there is a group of people out there that are willing to buy stuff like controllers,
Exactly.
a gaming community, and you don't do that. It's just weird. And we're not weird because I'm not the guys buying it, but Xbox guys are made fun of for buying all the controllers. Have fun paying for half a game next year, okay? Because yeah. I don't know, man. It's really weird. Let's talk about one of the most recent game launches, Prince of Persia. It seems to be getting good reviews, and I haven't played it myself because, I just got too much to play right now. But it's a side scroller. Doesn't look bad in my opinion. I would play it if it was like in Game Pass or something for sure. But not saying I wouldn't buy it, but it's just not something that I would jump to right away. Have you played the game?
Not yet, and I have Ubisoft Plus, which, by the way, I highly recommend just do that. You don't have to buy the game. You also get the Ultimate Edition for everything.
And you get everything, yeah.
Yep, and so you get Ubisoft Plus. They had AC Mirage come out, Avatar, and Prince of Persia, right? So you can just subscribe for a month, play all those games, and you get the Ultimate Edition of those games. And it's on PC and Xbox. So there's really no reason not to just do that instead of buying the game. Try it, right? What the heck, right? You can pay the $18 and you've got it for a month. Play whatever and see if it's good for you. You just finish it, you're good. If you want to buy it. You know what I mean? So like, it's just another way to access it, just like Game Pass, right? It gives you another avenue. But yeah, I fully intend to try it. It looks pretty good to me. I've heard one person say that they did not like it.
Mm-hmm.
That blue number. Outside of that, everybody who's tried it seems to like it. It's at a mid 80s meta, I think, something like that, which is fantastic. That's pretty good. Unless you're Starfield, then it's like horrendous and it's the end of the world. But for most games.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mid-80s meta is pretty good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We haven't played this game in a long time. This franchise has been dormant for quite a while. So it's supposedly good story, great gameplay. It has like it's a platformer, obviously, right? So it has sort of like the original. I don't know if people played the original or if you remember way back. We're talking PC.
Oh, I did back in the day. Yeah.
It's got more of that kind of feel, right? So and then like in more modern times, you think of like an Ori or something like that. Or,
it looks
it's basically
really good.
a Metroidvania. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm definitely going to give it a try. Hopefully you finish it.
I'm guessing 60 frames on the consoles as well.
120 frames.
120 frames. Look at that.
120 frames. And
nice.
If you haven't seen the performance review from Digital Foundry, it holds 120 pretty much constantly on the X. It's a little worse on the PS5.
Uh-oh, don't say that.
Goes to like 100-ish. But it can get to 120, but it usually is 15-ish%. Look, exactly where the performance delta is, right? It's about 10-15% less. But it is running great. By the way, it runs on Switch. It's on Switch, and it runs pretty well. I think it's 60 on Switch. It's 60 on Series S. It's on the old Xbox One and One X and PS4 and PS4 Pro, and it does pretty well in all of them. And but on the PS5 and Series X, it's 120 frames. And yeah, it runs pretty impressively. But again, it's a side scroller. But yeah, they have it at 120, and it runs the best console wise. It runs the best on Series X. But yeah, it's great.
You have to keep saying that, don't you? On console, it runs best on the Series X. Constantly push that hard.
The reason I even say that is because like most games do run better on the X or run the same, right? As PS5. But there'll be like 20 games or 50 games or whatever it is out of like the thousands. And it's like, these games run better on the PS5, therefore the Series X sucks.
I know, they do that a lot.
Like, seriously. All right.
I know. Ranting Greek Gamer in the chat, by the way, he said he just finished streaming this game after he got a code from Ubisoft. It's fantastic, he says. Everyone should try it if you like Metroidvania games. Nice. I'm glad. And by the way, on the screen right now is the path tracing of Cyberpunk 2077, which is just... Man, it may come off a little dark in the recording because the recording is a little bit dark, but damn, is this game just a looker on PC? Like, just freaking incredible. I've been playing a lot of this Phantom Liberty. It's been a lot of fun, but got a few minutes of gameplay here. Anyways, that's cool. You got a good game in freaking Prince of Persia, but we're going to go on the flip side here and talk about a game that is not so good, and that happens to be Suicide Squad. Now, don't get me wrong. In this community, I've seen some of you may be here in the chat. I've seen some of your thoughts on the game since the alpha NDA has been lifted. A lot of people do like it. It seems in the community. But Hargeet, you are one of those who played this early on, and you were the guy that, you were the guy that told me that was like, not caring for this game. Let us know why. Why don't you care for Suicide Squad?
So I have a buddy that works there, and so I got in early, like January really of last year. I had an early alpha test, and it's So essentially, it's you have like a storyline which looks like it's going to be pretty good, and so you have a mission, and then you have you basically go to the top of a building, hit a beacon, and then waves of enemies come at you. You kill them. Another wave comes at you. You kill them. Another wave comes at you. You kill them. Then you go to another building, hit the beacon, waves of enemies, kill them. Do that 4 or 5 times, and then eventually you get to actually do a story mission. And we're like. So you do that a few times, and you're like, dude, this is just boring. So the gameplay just isn't varied enough. It's just a constant churn of the same thing over and over with rounds of enemies. And maybe over time those enemies change, but they were always the same when we were playing, and it just felt really boring. And just wave after wave of the same thing just didn't feel fun. It wasn't like it was like, I don't know, like the gameplay was very slow. It was, I don't know how to really explain that, but like the motion just felt like molasses. And I'm like, I don't remember Batman being this bad. So I actually had to load Arkham Knight back up just to say, okay, am I just remembering wrong? No, I loaded up Arkham Knight. It's twice as fast. And like the game was fluid and fun. Like Arkham Knight was great. The combat was awesome. Like the look was great. The gameplay was fun. And I flip over and I'm like, yeah, no, this it just feels like I'm like trudging through sludge or something. Like it was horrible. I don't know why, but that's just the way it felt. I'm sure that can be tweaked and fixed, but that was what the game was like.
It's sad.
It just...
It's sad coming from Rocksteady for me, Hargeet.
It really is.
I love the Arkham series. Matter of fact, I put it above the Spider-Man series for me, for superhero games, And of course, Spider-Man took some of that combat from Arkham, that style anyway. And Rocksteady was just on their A game, and I was just so wanting another Batman or something kind of like that. And here we are getting a gas game, basically.
Yeah, it's much like Avengers, if you remember Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, and that was terrible in my opinion.
Right? They made it into a live servicey game, so there was a lot of grindiness, stupidity to it, and then they kind of scaled that back so you could just kind of do the story missions. But essentially, here they're forcing the grindy annoyance. Yeah. And that's essentially it. And you're like, dude, this is just like a slog. It feels boring. And so after an hour or so, we just felt bored, and we're like, we're not going to play this anymore. So we had 4 friends, like, and we just stopped. We're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and I would say it's like polarizing, but it's really not, because the majority of the gamers out there that I've seen talk about their previews of this game or the alpha, it's been in a negative light. There has been quite a bit in the community that has liked it, in our small community. But again, I say small because even though I may see hundreds, if not 1,000 people in the community on Twitter or the socials, we are still such a small minority of the overall gaming community. It is so expansive.
So I'll note one more thing that changed in Alpha 2, which I did also participate in.
Yeah.
They changed it so that you got to play sort of a tutorial, right? So when we first played it, they gave us nothing. You basically just were thrown into the world, and you had to figure it out, because we had no idea finally we kind of figured out, okay, this is what we got to do. So they kind of gave you a tutorial, right? So I think the beginning of it, maybe the first 45 minutes or so, is actually you playing each character, understanding their mechanics, right? And that might seem like fun, but until you get to the point where you're back to the same thing, where you actually have to just do this standard slog of going through it, like, okay, hit the beacon, wait for waves of enemies, right? So the beginning of it, the first hour might seem like it's cool, because you're actually being taught how to play the game, right? But then it just goes back to exactly where we were. So we were chapter 2, you're getting chapter 1 plus 2, and that was what the second alpha was.
So you were thinking it was just the tutorial, but it became the game.
Well, so no, the first part, we only got chapter 2. Right? Oh, okay. So I never got the tutorial. At first, all we got was, here's chapter 2, go. And so basically, you have no idea how to do anything. We just had to kind of figure that out. And then so we hit this beacon. Okay, cool. Then we all right, and then we get these waves. Okay, got it. And then we had to kind of figure that out on our own. That's fine, whatever. But then, in the second alpha, they gave you chapter 1 and 2. So you kind of get the idea of how to play the game, because they teach you how to play each character, right, with their different capabilities. And then you go back to what we were doing, which was just the, hit the beacon and hit waves of enemies, and that next beacon and waves of enemies. And I'm like, as long as that's the gameplay and they haven't changed it, I'm not interested. I would like what they did with Avengers is what they need to do here, is just say, skip that part. Maybe that's for like getting credits towards some skins or something that you can buy, versus just let me play the story. I just want to play the story missions, right? And so let me just do that, and then skip this like stupid beaconing crap and waves of enemy stupid grindy thing. But they haven't done that. So like that's where I don't know, the people who played it maybe just played that part, the tutorial part, and didn't get through the mission part, right? And to say, okay, now you have to go through 5 waves of beacons on various parts of the map. And
yeah, but it just sounds lame to me. It doesn't sound entertaining at all. Like
that was the problem.
Oh my God.
It'd be one thing is if like, hey, you need to go to this area and then find out why the Joker is doing something. No, it's just literally go to the top of a building, hit a button, and then waves of bad guys come at you. And it's like, well, what the heck is this? This is stupid.
Like, and I find it interesting because the whole dynamic about playing with others usually makes anything fun, at least, right? Yeah. Like I can play Uno, you know, online and have fun with friends and have a laugh and whatever in a card game. But we're talking about a game where you and friends were playing and you couldn't even have fun. And I'm wondering if some people out there that were playing with friends had fun with it just because they were playing with friends. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, right? But I mean, Gotham Knights I thought was a lot more fun. I think it went a little too long, Gotham Knights. If it was like a bit, maybe like a few hours shorter, I think it kind of went a little too long. But that was much more fun. And that's mostly because you basically just had to play the missions. It was just go to the missions. And sometimes you had to go fight enemies to get clues. Yeah. But other than that, and even that, it kind of made a little bit more sense. It was like, hey, I'm going to interrogate somebody. It's like, hey, what's going on here? Right. Okay. That makes sense. At least in context, it makes sense. Right here, there's none of that. It's really, you just kill a whole wave of enemies, go to another building, wave of enemies. And then, hey, now you get to actually go do the mission. I'm like, well, what the heck's the point of this? So it never seemed to add up. I'm sure the story is going to be good. You know, they hopefully did a good job with that, but you'd have to go through that whole grindy annoyance if you want to do it. And
yeah,
I don't know.
Some people were kind of liking it to like Destiny Strikes, but I don't know. I have yet to play it, so I probably won't play it, to be honest. It just, you know, a games as a service type game. It's just, I'm not hip to that stuff, man. Like, especially for me, like right now, like I think as I've gotten older, Hargeet, I've gotten really into like single player games more. Like, that's been my bag lately. Just hanging out. I could be in a party chat too, talk with people casually and stuff, play a game. When it gets to, you know, a story element of the game, I'll mute the mic and not listen to other people talk, but get into the game that way, the narrative anyway. But I just like relaxing with a single player game. For me, that's really where I tend to play these days. Single player.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, I play some multiplayer. I like co-op games. I like,
it just depends. So, it depends what it is, you know. But yeah, single player games is where it's at for me mostly. Let's go ahead and talk about another game. There's a game coming to Game Pass at the end of the month, or actually middle of the month, a few days, next week, January 19th to be exact. And of course that would be Palworld. Now, you described this to me because I hadn't seen any of this until you told me, but you said you described it as Pokemon with guns.
Yeah, that's what it's being described as. I think Keeley described it as that. Yeah, so it looks kind of fun.
Does it though? Does it? Look at those cute little woodland creatures. No, yes. I don't know what they are. But they kind of look like Pokemon. They do.
Yeah,
they do.
And then they, get exploded.
I guess.
Yeah. So, but yeah, look at that.
Anybody here looking forward to that in the chat? Who's looking forward to Palworld? Come on. Who wants Palworld? But it's in Game Pass, right? So it's worth a try.
I think it's exclusive to Xbox console wise.
Really? Exclusive console exclusive. Let's get one of those. Console exclusive. No. But yeah,
Yeah, I believe it's exclusive to Xbox for console. But anyway, it looks fun enough, I guess, if you want to try it. What the hell, right? And,
yeah,
the beauty of Game Pass is what's it cost you? Nothing. You're already
nothing
there.
really.
So
I mean, your monthly
download
payment.
it. Try it out.
Yeah, there's a monthly
Good.
payment there, but yeah, I mean
You'll enjoy it.
it's a game. It's new. It's you can blow stuff up in it. I mean, you can blow each other up. I don't know. Maybe we'll play together and we'll try it out day one. Hargeet,
Yeah,
you
why
and
not?
I. Let's give it a try. We'll get Colt involved. We'll
What
just
the
have a
heck?
blast. Let's just get a bunch of people and just destroy each other's Pokemons. Is it Pokemons or Pokemon? Is it Pokemon plural?
Pokemon, I
It's
think.
Pokemon. Yeah.
It's Pokemon.
Oh, hold up. We have a super chat here for $2 from Salzido17, I believe. He says, Hargeet gonna choose violence today? ? What is that? Looking for group? Is that what he's saying?
No,
LFG?
let's effing go.
Let's effing go. Okay. Well, for me, it's looking for group. LFG was, back in World of Warcraft days, when LFG.
Does that answer your question?
LFG. Oh,
Does that answer your question?
come on, Salzito. What do you have to say to that? Hey, I'll listen to this. So what say you on that? What's going on?
Well, if we want to approach this topic, right? So there's
I'll
been a lot of
approach it.
smoke about going third party for Xbox.
Yes, there has been.
And there's too much smoke to assume that there isn't a fire there. So the latest rumors, and these are rumors, they're not substantiated, is that Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves are going to become multi-plat. Potentially going to both PlayStation and Switch.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, I think. Yeah.
Right. And so pushing that forward, you have to say, okay, well, so if that's the case, this is really them dipping their toes. And, there's a lot of people trying to justify it, trying to say, no, it's only going to be this. And I don't know what the heck you're thinking. Like, if the CFO is saying we're going to do this, at some point you have to take their word for it. They're going to do this, right? There is an internal struggle going on at Xbox as to whether they stay exclusive or they go third party. There are lots of merits for both. Ultimately, whether we like it or not, they are going to go third party. And that, by the way, is all of them, because there's no choice, right? The platforms du jour of the future are not going to be consoles. It's going to be your TV. It's going to be mobile. It's going to be cloud.
Eventually.
That's just the way it is.
Eventually.
Right?
But
and that may not be 10 years. It might be 15, 20 years.
Exactly.
But it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And Microsoft already sees that, right? They're like, we're going to set ourselves up for the future, right? They're not the $3 trillion company because they're morons. They know what they're doing. They know that the world is going a certain direction, right? So they're going to go third party, and everybody's going to go third party. There's no choice. As it is, PlayStation's already looking to go third party to go to put games on PC. They're doing that. There's no choice. They have to do it, and they're going to go mobile too. Don't worry, they are going to go mobile. There's no way around it. The question is when, right? If you're competing in that platform for console, what do you have to do to keep that console alive? And these are like, there's multiple directions they could go. And so what people keep saying is, well, there'll be a case by case. Like that statement, by the way, it was intended for legacy titles, right? That was what Phil was saying, was like, this is about great exclusive games coming to you on platforms where
Game Pass
exists, right?
Yeah.
That was his statement. There will be, for legacy titles, we will look at that on a case-by-case basis. So Elder Scrolls, for instance, there is a legacy of that, right? So it's a choice. And so Phil can decide, yes, no, exclusive. I don't know. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. And he's still wishy-washy on it, right? He's been wishy-washy even up to about maybe like 6 months ago. It's still wishy-washy. Is that going to be exclusive or not? And that's a determination you can make when they're ready to publish it. Fair enough, right? And again, I'm okay either way because there is a legacy of it. I get that. There's a legacy of that on other platforms. Fair enough, right? But when it comes to new things, you should not expect that. There's no legacy of Hi-Fi Rush, right? It's brand new. So that's how I interpret what he's saying there. But apparently everybody else is interpreting it as anything is case by case. Anything is case by case. And we should look at things like Sea of Thieves because it's a live service game. You know what else is a live service
this game? Is where I'll side with you. In terms of context, that is exactly what he meant when he said it. It was based on legacy titles of Bethesda games at that time.
Exactly.
It had nothing to do with future. Like,
right? If a new Doom came out, they're like, Doom has been on PlayStation. Let's be fair and put that. Like, if there's a continuation of that trilogy or whatever it is, right? They're doing that Year Zero, which is kind of a prequel. We put the other ones there. Maybe we should put this one there. It kind of makes sense. Fair enough. I'm okay with that. That's fair enough. I get that, right? But in the case of a brand new game that you just created, why does it need to? Like, there's no reason for it, right? But let's take the Sea of Thieves one then, right? And say, well, why Sea of Thieves? That's Rare, one of their original studios, right? They bought that as they were becoming a thing. And that's a new game, new IP from Rare. And so it's because it's a live service game. You know what else is a live service game that came along with Xbox way back in the Halo? Halo's a live service game, isn't it? So why should Halo not go to PlayStation? Can anybody give me a good reason? Oh, because I don't care. Ultimately, if it's all about making money and expanding your brand, they're going to do it. Right?
Yeah. If you look at it at the business level of things,
exactly.
Like if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, and
that's what a CFO's job is, right? A CFO's job is to report up and say, this is how we're making money.
I think that's the fear of a lot of gamers or consumers at this point is they fear that the console will become obsolete because you can get these games anywhere. But I
wouldn't say obsolete, it would diminish it, right? And
devalue is what they like to say.
Exactly. And so like they may not sell as many in this generation, and the next generation it'll become even worse because why would you need it? You can just buy the other stuff everywhere else, or you go PC, which just makes the problem third parties coming to your platform, right? If you only sell 15 million consoles, it's hard for somebody like, Koei Tecmo to say, I might sell 5,000 copies of this game on your platform. Why should I spend the money to port my game to you? It's just not worth it, right? That's the problem you run into, right? Unless you have the numbers, the scale, it's going to become a problem for them unless they can show you can make money. Otherwise, it has to go to Game Pass. There's no choice, right? So Microsoft has to take that hit.
Game Pass is the play, the ultimate play. It's okay. We're going to have Game Pass everywhere. So, if you want to buy it on, say, a PlayStation, you have the choice to buy it here on Game Pass, or not buy it, but get it on Game Pass for a low monthly fee.
Yep.
And you're looking at the situation as like, do I want to spend 70 or do I want to get it essentially for nothing or along with my Game Pass subscription, which is 10 to 17 bucks a month now, I guess. I see that, but I think a lot of people are fearing, and they're fearing the consoles going away, but it's inevitable eventually. It's inevitable eventually that they're going to go away because tech is always moving. I've personally witnessed the cloud tech like GeForce Now, which is running really, really freaking good. Mm-hmm. I've witnessed it with my own two hands and eyes and played these games, and I was blown away by the tech. And I couldn't believe that I'm like playing cloud-based games, or I was a month ago, and it was so good and it felt great. Just imagine another 10 to 15 years. It's only going to get better.
Part of that is you're in San Francisco. So you're literally in the hub of IT, right?
True.
The hub of Silicon Valley, where the data center is, right? So you are very close to the data center. Yeah. So for the average consumer around the globe, that's not the case, right?
But it's got to get better. Of course. That's what I'm saying, though. That
it's improbable to make that happen everywhere, right? It's possible to do it in very big cities. The problem is those big cities are usually wealthy.
Okay, right? But this is just one aspect. Cloud is just one aspect of gaming. That is one platform.
It's the fact that everything else is getting so much more powerful, right? Portable devices are getting more and more powerful. You don't need the console anymore. That's the problem. At some point, it'll just flip, right? The console is very convenient.
It'll be
it's
a while,
very
but it
convenient.
will.
So, but here's the thing, right? So let's say they do this. They go third party. And despite what everybody claims, it will be a lot of their games will go third party. Right? It'll be a majority of their games will start going third party. The question is how fast? I don't know. Maybe over a 5-year horizon, 10-year horizon, they will start migrating everything to third party, right? And when that happens, does it is there enough incentive for people to buy your console? I see a couple of ways that could still work, and the way that seems, viable to me. There's two potential paths. You limit it and then get a quid pro quo and say, hey, I give you Hi-Fi Rush. You give me Pikmin.
Yeah.
You give me Ratchet and Clank. Right? Okay, so quid pro quo, we swap. Okay. I don't know that the other platforms care enough to do that. If they do, great. If they don't, then that may not be a viable thing. The other alternative is you just do it. Go ahead and go third party. But then you go on a spending spree and buy like a ton more. And why you do that is essentially the marketing of every game then becomes you, right? So then your console will just sell by the virtue of you marketing the games. Just think of Hogwarts Legacy. How many people thought that was a PlayStation exclusive? Because it was marketed by them. It's everywhere.
No, that happens all the time. And yes, the marketing is a big push for Xbox, regardless.
It's a big deal, right? So if they went and bought, Take-Two, they went and bought Embracer, they went and bought, Sega, Square, they went and bought Warner Discovery, Ubisoft, or whatever. They bought EA, right? Let's say they buy all of that. That still only puts them 15% of the market of gaming.
Really?
15%.
Wow.
It's not even up to 40%. They don't even talk to you. They don't care. You're not a monopoly, right? So the headaches they would have is twofold: subscriptions. So they would have to say our games are available for other subscriptions, which by the way they are. They put their games in PS Plus, so that's still open. And then the other one would be cloud, which again they gave up cloud rights in Europe. They are happily putting their cloud games in NVIDIA, as you found out, right?
Yeah.
And anybody else who wants to come along, they'll do those deals. So if they take those away and on console they say we're third party, we don't care, come along, we'll put our games there, right? That eliminates that as a potential issue as far as monopolization. Then they can just keep buying. But if you have that, if you have Ubisoft, so the next Assassin's Creed is marketed by you. The next, GTA is marketed by you. The next Red Dead Redemption, NBA 2K, on and on and on. The next, Yakuza, the next Final Fantasy, right? The next, Wonder Woman or Hogwarts Legacy 2. If all that is marketed by you, even though it's available everywhere, people just associate it with you, right? Because it's not just, hey, you're marketing, and at the end it says on Xbox. No, it's Xbox Game Studios, Hogwarts Legacy, right?
It's also something to where, like, if you look at Xbox, and I gotta first talk about Jason Max in the chat. He said, unless Sony allows Game Pass on PS5, they will never get all Xbox games. Game Pass is MS's main focus.
Don't expect
that's already been shown to be false.
Yeah,
what he said, because he's already putting Hi-Fi Rush without Game Pass on a Switch.
Yeah,
there's other games that are going to Switch, that don't have Game Pass. Like, there is not going to be a Game Pass on PlayStation. You're 100% right on that. I don't think they would ever allow that.
I think Phil said that. It's not happening.
No, but games going to PlayStation, if that were to happen, where Xbox would get a win is through Game Pass. Hey, if you're still on one of the many platforms that support Game Pass, guess what? You get it for the low price of that, $17 a month or whatever, along with hundreds of other games. So that's where they kind of win. And that's where they compete, is because not only do they have Game Pass, but they make Game Pass more appealing by putting so many more games on there, because they're buying up more freaking places.
Exactly.
More companies.
And there's too many games here to be ignored in other countries. And that's where they need to expand. Because that's my main headache, right? Is like here in the US, we have it's not too bad for
It's
Microsoft.
speculation, not a rumor. 9 Lives speculation.
Yeah, this is all speculation. We don't know that this is actually happening. And in fact, by the way, I think this is kind of a tussle that is happening in Microsoft right now, in Xbox right now.
I can see it.
Should it go this way or that way? They're trying to figure it out, and they don't know the answer. That's kind of where it is, right? Because if they knew that this was not happening, Aaron Greenberg would have come out right by now and said, "Hey, this is all bunk. We're not doing any of this." Right? He hasn't said a damn thing, and there's a reason why, because they are having this discussion, and there's good reason to. And I'm not saying that it's. To me, it'd be nice if they held off for a couple of years. And if I saw this roadmap, I think this is what they should do. I think they should go third party, buy up all this stuff fairly, and say, but we're putting it everywhere. We're not taking it away from anyone. We're putting it everywhere, but it's going to be marketed by us, and it's guaranteed to be in Game Pass, right? And that's going to be our pitch. You can come to our box. You'll get it with Game Pass, day and date.
Yeah.
All these games. You can go to somebody else's. We don't care. Fine. Go ahead.
And see, and that's where I have to disagree with a lot of people, like in the chat. For instance, 9 Lives, he said, if Xbox starts porting games, the console is dead. I don't think so. Because there's going to be a market for that console, because there is Game Pass on that console with all of these games that are appealing to a wide variety of gamer out there. They're going to be jumping to an Xbox platform to play these games on Game Pass because it's much cheaper. If they have all the games, why wouldn't they? Why would you pay $70 per game on a PlayStation if you can get them all there for $17 a month, even $20 a month? Like,
it is still fair for them to do partial exclusivity. By that I mean a 6 month.
Why would people just buy a PlayStation? Why would they do that, Charlie? Why would they buy a PlayStation if all the games were on Game Pass on an Xbox? Why would everybody suddenly jump to game? I've seen Xbox say, I will leave Xbox if they put a game on PlayStation. Why?
But they do. Call of Duty is going to be there. Minecraft's been there forever. Look, I think this is going to be their future. I think it is, okay? I hope they wait a couple of years, because I don't think they have enough yet. I think they need to get a couple more publishers. Look, the Japan stuff is a gimme. They have no market share there. It should be relatively easy for them to go buy something there, right? Because who's going to have something to say? You get 2% market share, they're going to be too big. There's just no logical reason to say no. So they should be easily able to get at least 1 or 2 publishers over there. Once they do that, I think it is time to start doing that. Start dipping your toe into it and say, hey, eventually we're going to go down this path. But I think owning some of these big IP is going to make it much easier for them to make the case. Because look, if GTA is your game, you're going to market it, you're going to have it in Game Pass, you will have a very compelling case to say, come to our box. Even if it's on everybody else's stuff, it doesn't matter, because people will just associate it. Because look, it's not even just I advertised it and it has my logo at the end. No, it literally is. The game starts off saying Xbox Game Studios, Grand Theft Auto, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to associate it that way. Even though it might be available everywhere, they're just going to associate it that way. And it's going to drive enough sales. I know there are going to be savvy players out there who's like, I don't need that. I can play it on my Nintendo. Great. They just need to get to a certain level. If they get to 60, 70, 80 million consoles, it's a very viable platform. It's totally fine. That makes them a good competitor. That's what they need to get to, right? Along with Game Pass. So I think this is totally the right strategy longer term. I think shorter term, let your studios cook. You just get to the point now where all these games are coming out. Let it try to solidify your install base. Right? Let's let that happen.
And we could flip this.
In 3 or 4 years, this is a perfect way to go.
Yeah, we could flip this on some of the Xbox guys here in our chat that are talking really negative about this and saying, Xbox is dead if they do this and stuff. Well, what is it getting Sony right now by holding everything exclusive? Look at what's happening with them. Look at the leaks we've saw with them internally. They are having issues there. They're laying off a bunch of developers. Yeah. They are losing money, and they've got issues there. And they've been holding everything exclusive. So what is that really doing for them?
So look, I kind of like this plan long term. There's a couple of pieces that politically need to align too, right? Because Lena Khan is a problem with this whole thing, right? So she can't be there. You have to have somebody who's more reasonable, who's not going to say, hey, you're buying something. No, you can't do that. It's got to be based on merit. And as long as they make those criteria clear, I think it's viable. So longer term, I think this is the play. And I kind of like it because ultimately for me as a consumer, I think it's going to be a better platform. I think there's going to be more consoles sold, but I get Game Pass games. It's going to be all these games in Game Pass for me.
Now, Nine Lives, you ask a good question. He says it will kill the consoles. No, I don't think so. But he says not everyone subscribes to Game Pass, Fonz. No, not everybody does right now because it's not enticing enough for people right now. But you put more content within there, really high-end AAA content in there from multiple development studios that they may potentially buy up. Guess what that makes Game Pass? More enticing. More people will buy into it.
The ones I'm saying here, Take-Two, Embracer, Ubisoft, EA, Warner Discovery, Sega, Square. You might even add a couple more. Tell me all those plus ABK, plus Bethesda, plus Xbox games. That isn't a lot of games?
No,
right?
Nine Lives.
All that?
tons of Xbox gamers aren't going to suddenly switch to PlayStation because their games are somewhere else. Because tons of Xbox gamers love Xbox for its ecosystem. They love the way the whole system is run. You turn on your Xbox, the ease of use of it, everything's right there where you know it to be. All your friends are there and stuff. You're not leaving the ecosystem because they're putting a game over on PlayStation. It's not happening. I call people's bluffs on that. Why would you leave and go to PlayStation? It makes no sense. Oh, because I can buy games there at $70 or at $50 for half a game, and next year I'll buy the other half for $50. Yeah, go ahead. Leave for that. I'll stick around for Game Pass. It doesn't make sense. I think people are just really nervous about something new, man. I think they don't want to see it happen because of the whole console war. Number one.
Yeah, I mean, again, as long as there are enough things in place to make sure that the console has relevance, I think it's okay. And again, this opens the path for a lot more acquisitions. And I think that is the place to go. Is PlayStation going to do the same thing? I don't know. It behooves them to do it, by the way. It's better for them to put everything everywhere too. But I don't think they will. I think they want their ecosystem. I think they want their PlayStation to be the primary thing, and then they're going to put things on PC, and I think that's hurting them right now. At some point, hopefully they do at least simultaneous on PC, but going to Nintendo, it could hurt. It could help them, sell more games. I don't know the answer to that because look, Nintendo's going to be a lower performance level than their PlayStation, right? And so people will say, I want the higher performance console. I'll get the PlayStation version. Fair enough, but there's going to be enough players, right? Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 million players on the Nintendo who's like, I already have the Nintendo. I'll just buy it here. It's just extra money in your pocket. There's no reason not to take it, right? And it's an outdated mindset that games need to stay exclusive. It's more about how you can stay relevant in the market. And that's the part that annoys me. It's like, hey, you're just about to get relevant in the market, and now you're going to take that away when you're just releasing all these games now. Let's at least let that cook, right? And see if we can get some mind share in the rest of the world, right? And if you're not going to do that, you need to buy publishers out there. You need to go get more content.
And I don't see them pulling a console off the market without having something else in play with Game Pass. So I think consoles are here for at least another 2 generations, probably more. And that's well beyond,
So the next gen easily is here. They're definitely going to have that. And I'm hoping in that gen, they've purchased a whole bunch of these other publishers and they are going third party. It's fine to go third party as long as you're saying, but you're getting all these games on our platform because they're first party.
And even if they sell 40, 50 million consoles, let's say.
That's a lot. That's good.
That's a lot. And that's enough for them to keep the consoles going regardless. 20, and who wants to see, I mean, for me personally, it's about what they're giving to me in terms of value. How many games am I getting into Game Pass this year? That is what I'm looking at more than I'm looking at, hey, what games are coming to Game Pass, but are also going to another console? I don't even care about that. Like, that's not even in my main focus. Like, I've never cared. Like, even back in 2017 or whenever it was when the Xbox started putting games on PC, I didn't give a damn. It didn't bother me whatsoever because I was always looking at it, in terms of saying, okay, at least I'm still getting to play the game. I don't care where they're playing it. I don't care that other people get to play the game. But now, if it's Game Pass and they're getting more, and you're right, Boba Fett Gaming, by the way, he was saying that there's no way they're going to get all those developers. Probably not, but they can get more developers and they'd be less scrutinized for it. That is the biggest play there. It's an easy play for them to go that route. It's easy.
Yeah, I think it's a timing issue, right? I'd say don't do it for now. Just stay status quo for a little bit. Start acquiring some of that stuff, and then start making the pivot, because I think it does make sense over time. But right now, it just seems like why give up when you don't have to? Because you're just going to create like this kind of dialogue and a lot of angst in the community, because we don't know then if the next game is Avowed coming to PlayStation. Maybe it is. Look,
I doubt it.
One thing I think that should happen, and people are going to hate me for this, is Hellblade should come to PlayStation. And why it should come to PlayStation is if they want that 90 meta, it's not going to happen unless.
Oh my God! Here we go with the blacklisting, right? If it's on, that's PlayStation first party. That only works for PlayStation first party, though.
I don't think so. I think if it comes on PlayStation, I think it'll get a normal score. If they want a 90, they should just release it on PlayStation, or even just say it's going to come to PlayStation 6 months later. It'll just.
I think it can do it on its own. I think it'll be a solid game.
Right? Good luck with that, right? But I don't think it will.
Yeah. Jax82, thank you very much for the super chat. $10. He says PlayStation is for the payers. Xbox is for the players. PlayStation has digital games that were out 3 years ago, still $70. Like Returnal. Who's really winning here? And they are the market leader. Yeah, they're the market leader for several reasons. And one of those reasons happen to be because of last gen. Honestly, it's just Xbox put their foot in their mouth, really messed up last gen. Even going into this gen, there was a lot of gamers out there that already were saying they were going to get a PlayStation 5. They were going into this gen. Hey, all my friends are already there. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting a PlayStation 5. PlayStation was better last year than Xbox. It's going to be better again. That was the mindset of a lot of gamers out there, a lot of casuals out there.
So this market leader thing has always bugged me, but I'd say it's the mindshare market leader. They aren't the market leader in any given segment. They're usually second or last or whatever, but they're not financially the market leader. That's Tencent. They're not profit. The profits is Apple. They're not console. That's Nintendo. Monthly active users, which is something that they touted this CES because they added in Destiny, right? Fine, but Xbox is 3 to 4 times higher. So like they don't like lead in any given category. Well, they do lead in one category, Pornhub usage. They do lead in that one, but that's probably not what they want to tout. But they do lead in that. They're the market leader there. But I think mind share wise, I think they're the market leader. But as far as actual categorization, they don't really lead in anything. It's not like their sales for games or anything to look at. Nintendo games sell way better. Microsoft has games that trounce, freaking PlayStation. So it's not that. I don't know. So it's just an interesting thing about that market leader thing.
I've got to ask Nine Lives a question. He says, listen, I don't care if Hi-Fi Rush goes to PlayStation, but you start to remove reasons to buy the console. I want to ask you this, Nine Lives. Is there any other reason you're on Xbox other than their first party? And are those reasons reason enough to keep you on the Xbox platform? Because the biggest selling point for me to be on an Xbox, or at least a platform where Xbox exists, is Game Pass. And I would never leave Game Pass. The value is too big there for me and my kids. Game Pass is huge.
I'll back him up on the fact that if that were enough, then last gen wouldn't have been an issue, right? The reason that we're getting these games is because that was the big lacking thing, and they need to grow the platform, right? And so that's fair. It's a fair point. But, and I still think they shouldn't do it. They shouldn't do it until they have enough content from everywhere to say going third party doesn't matter, because we have so much content, you will want to come here anyway. Right. I think that's where they need to get to.
So if it truly is all about first party games for some of you, that wouldn't make any sense that there were 57 million units sold of Xbox Ones last generation. Because what were you doing through some of those dry years? I mean, 2017. Right? I mean, God, in 2017, why did you own an Xbox? It was pretty sparse in terms of first party. The whole last generation was pretty sparse. So why'd you own an Xbox? It's really stupid to just think that way, that the console's just going to die because they decide to put some games on another platform when they still have Game Pass existing on the platform that you own now. Why would you leave it? Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's just the next console, right? I think that's what they're worried about.
Like and the next console's coming. And again, if the Xbox One can sell 57 million units, you're telling me that another console that comes out in 2026 ain't going to be able to do that within 8 years, 8 years, whatever the console life cycle may be?
If there's not a compelling enough reason, then probably not, right? It just depends on.
But I'm saying Game Pass is the different factor here, right? Like
it is if everybody in the world adopted it. Right?
Yeah, not every Xbox guy does. True.
No, Xbox players do, but remember, the majority of Xbox players are here in the U.S. So the rest of the world, it's a problem. Yeah. They don't buy it.
See, Colt said it. Between 2013 and 2019, it was so sparse. You don't know how anyone held on to their Xboxes. It's the truth. I was there. I remember. I remember sitting there with Colt on our very first RDX. Like we would be talking behind the scenes about how bad and how dire Xbox was. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's crazy that people are now talking with as good a games that they are finally putting out. You got Game Pass, a great subservice. And now you're speaking of, oh my God, if they put games on something else, I'm quitting Xbox. Like, go ahead.
Well, it's not the quitting of Xbox. It's more, is the general consumer going to buy one or not, right? And so I don't think we would do that, right? It's not like we would abandon.
No, I've seen some people say this though. I'm leaving Xbox.
Whatever.
I know.
The real headache is, how do you attract customers? How do you get a PlayStation player to come over here? And if you're just saying, hey, the games are going to come there too, so you don't have to worry about it, then cool. The value then would be Game Pass.
Game Pass. Yeah.
However, a lot of people don't play that many games. That's just the way it is, right? So most players are going to play 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 games a year. And if those games are available on your platform, why do they care? Why? They're not going to go over, right? This is kind of the thing they have to work through, right? And I'm sure they're playing the numbers and figuring out what makes sense. So, and look, they're far smarter. They're the $3 trillion company, not me, right? They're far smarter at this than any of us. We're just speculating. We don't even know if this is going to happen, right? This is still based on rumors. It's not based on any substantiated anything, right? It's just, hey, if this were to happen, this is where it would go. And if that were to happen, right? I'm happy with this happening longer term, because I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen, right? It's just, I want them to try for the next couple of years to solidify the ecosystem now, try to gain mind share in the rest of the world, try to expand that, and then buy those publishers, buy some more content such that your platform is something nobody wants to skip, that they're like, well, hey, I have all this stuff here. I'm going to buy the next one just because I liked Game Pass and they have everything I want to play. Cool. I don't have to, and there's 10 games outside of that in the generation that I might buy. Everything else comes to me in my Game Pass. Awesome. Right. And it's a really compelling statement to make. And I'm sure Microsoft is weighing all that and saying, why not? Right. What holds them from buying more if it's just that they keep their games exclusive on the console? Is that enough? And, I'm sure they're having that battle internally, and I don't know who's winning, but my recommendation would be just hold for another couple of years, try to get those Japanese things, get something in Japan, and then start going down this path. Because That's the part they're missing. That's the big gap they have is Japanese content, right? And if they start weaning themselves away from the rest of the world, that Japanese content that we're finally getting now is going to start drying up. And that's the part that annoys me, right? We finally get like the Yakuzas. We finally get the Personas, right? We still don't have Neo, right? But we're getting Team Ninja to come back, right? So like, I just want to start getting all that stuff, right? And unfortunately, like there's still contracts in place for Final Fantasies that are not coming over. At some point, hopefully they will, right? And this is the kind of stuff I want to have undone, right? That all those games come over. If the console levels start dropping, it's not going to happen. But if you own Square, you don't have to worry about that, right? Put it everywhere. It doesn't matter. Everything Square can go everywhere. It doesn't matter, right? But you're guaranteed to get the games, and you're going to market them, right?
Yep.
That's
those are two big factors.
Just get the publisher, and that takes care of it. Like ABK, I think most of it is going to be third party. They're not going to touch it. It's going to stay third party, but it'll come to Game Pass, right? And it'll be marketed by Xbox.
This has been some good speculation talk on the whole third party thing, and I want to put it to bed right now because I just again we may not agree on this stuff with some of the chat, but sometimes I look at it from
and let them go. That's fine, right? People are
gonna
have
and I get it. Like, I'm a consumer at the end of the day.
I have feelings about this.
I look at it from the consumer side first, but you also have to see the business side of it too. And you make a lot of sense when you talk about that issue. I can definitely see that happening, but I'll leave it at this. The consoles aren't going anywhere anytime soon. You will have consoles. There will be Xboxes. They're coming. We already know there's one in 2026 coming. So you don't have to worry about that. If you choose to leave it because they have a game on PlayStation or something, that's on you. You can do what you like. But at the end of the day, Game Pass is what I care about personally. And I want to see Xbox first party have a lot of great games. I want to see that happen for them. That'd be great.
And if you're getting all ticked off about this, I'll recommend PC is fantastic.
PC is really fantastic. I mean, look at the graphics. Look at that. Yeah, it's really good. Thanks to Hargeet here, man. Yeah, I was pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised and blown away by the graphics, and the performance. By the way, man, it's really good stuff. But let's move on really quick, Hargeet. Let's talk about PlayStation announcing a record-breaking 123 million monthly active users for this past December. That's right, 123 monthly active users. So is Sony like on an upswing here in terms of sales and player base? Are their subscriptions up? Or what does this mean? What does this mean?
So understand they have Destiny, right? Yeah. And because they have that, they also are counting like mobile activations and stuff like that. If you have the mobile app and things like that. So fair enough. Microsoft does the same thing. They all do this, right?
Yeah, I know.
But if you want to talk about real users, Call of Duty, anybody? Hundreds of millions of players. Yes. Minecraft, anybody? Microsoft's monthly active users are somewhere in the 400 to 500 million range, right? So yawn, you're at 123 because of Destiny. Okay, that's nice. Which is good. It's an accomplishment. It's fine, but you're still way below many other platforms, many other games. It is what it is. It's fine. Xbox has just smashed that because they just happen to have some very, very, very large games. But great accomplishment. You know what? Kudos to them. Good luck, right? Destiny hopefully does better this coming year with this new DLC. Hopefully brings players back. This is good stuff for them. They also have Helldivers 2 coming. Do they have any other? So I think they might have another multiplayer something, coming. Not factions.
So does PC, by the way. Helldivers 2, day and date.
Yeah, and I think they're going to count every player of that because it'll be connecting to their network to play, right? So I think they will count that as a multi-active user. That's fair. It's their game, right? So they can count that as monthly active users on PC, which is, again, Destiny players on PC all count, right? This is not all PlayStation players. This is mobile. It's PC. It's wherever they're playing. Xbox, right? It's all of them, right? So all those players count as monthly active users, and that's fair, right? Obviously, Xbox is doing the same thing. All the players on PlayStation that are playing their games, all the Nintendo players that are playing their games also count to their monthly active users, and that's fair. So that's fine. And Helldivers, hopefully it does well. I don't know how well it's going to do, but hopefully it does well.
Yeah.
And that'll just
I don't know. There's
total.
parts of it that don't look that great to me, and just
yeah.
I don't know. It looks okay. I don't know. I might not pick it up, but we'll see.
So, I mean, it's good that they get more active users. Hopefully it creates more engagement and more revenue. And that's the real measure ultimately, right? So this is the thing they've been wanting to increase is monthly engagement, right? And hopefully that will lead to monthly recurring revenue. And if that happens, it'll help them a lot, right? So that's kind of what they need to turn that into, right? So
Perry, I hear you, man. He says not everyone can afford PC. That is why consoles sold so well. Yeah, I talked about this last week too. That is another major reason why consoles aren't going anywhere. It's the entry price to PC is a bit steep. I will admit, once you're there, though, I think pricing goes down. I think the games are just overall cheaper. I think you get better deals. I think you get a lot of freebies that you don't get on console, and it blows me away. But that entry point to get into PC gaming is a bit steep for some.
So to a point, though, I'll say if you get like a Rogue Ally or a Steam Deck,
that's
Steam
true.
Deck is about $400-ish. Rogue Ally is about $700-ish.
Yeah,
that's not terrible. And the Rogue Ally is, I mean, it's close to PlayStation 5 performance. It's not bad.
No,
so
it is,
and you can plug that. You can plug that into your TV. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So, do that, get whatever controller you want. It's a PC. So it'll
if it's really as good as like a PlayStation 5, it's well worth, plugging into a TV because
T-flops versus 10, right? So it's not that far off.
The deals you can get on PC have really like opened my eyes. I don't understand like why they're not there for console gamers. It sucks.
Platform fees are higher. That's kind of the problem. There's a lot more control by Xbox and Sony
PlayStation.
And
Nintendo, that's true.
Right? They just do a little bit too much there, unfortunately. Whereas Steam is not as controlling, so they don't necessarily care as much. They're much better on the sales. And the beauty is on PC, you have multiple storefronts. So if Steam, it costs this much, it doesn't have to cost that much on Epic or GOG or Amazon or whatever. So you can pick and just buy the game wherever works for you. It doesn't matter. It just runs on PC. So who cares, right? And the other thing is Game Pass. You just get Game Pass. It's just there. You have all the Game Pass games. So that's the beauty of it. The downside is multiple stores means more complexity.
I'm laughing because Colt said now he feels like playing Cyberpunk on a 19-inch CRT TV because I have that CRT TV. I just like it just goes with the vibe of the show. I like the old retro stuff. But they've all used this metric, this monthly active users. It's like the new thing. It always seems to be used though in play of sales when sales aren't up. That's what it usually means to me. Every time I see that, I always think, oh, they must not be selling well or something. But again, you hear like Yoshida back in the day say, player engagement is more important than sales and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a new era we're in. The gaming scene is changed and evolved so much. And now we're getting these subscription services and, so I can definitely see monthly active users being a big stat for them. But yeah, that's great. They got 123 million. Awesome. Good for them. And by the way, we have a birthday boy in the house, Red Wolf. Happy birthday, Red Wolf. Yeah, it's good to have you here, man. Happy birthday. He's I think he's 21. He turned 21. He can drink now. No, I don't know how old he is. But happy birthday, Red Wolf. Great guy, man. Great guy in the community. Everybody wish him a happy birthday. Well, Hargeet, you got anything else to talk about? If we don't have anything else to talk about, we're going to be wrapping up the show. So,
what do we have on the list of? So there's the Developer Direct.
Well, we could talk. We talked a little bit about this last week, but is there anything new?
Oh, okay,
to
did
this?
we? Yeah, okay. Then we're good, I guess. But
yeah.
'cause when did that get announced?
We talked about it last week that we were what we were speculating on the show. We didn't talk about the date though. The date I think came out after. So the date,
and what was the actual list of games, right?
yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah. What's the actual list of games? Tell everybody.
Yeah, so the list that they've given us is Indiana Jones, which is just shocking. Indiana Jones is going to be a part of it. We get Hellblade 2, we get Avowed, and then Aura History Untold. So these are, I assume, 24 games. They're all 2024 games.
Yeah.
Which means we're getting Indiana Jones this year, which is pretty cool.
See, I don't assume that we're getting Indiana Jones this year. Maybe they've just relaxed on that whole, we don't announce things until, it's close. Maybe they just want to show off what they've got so far, get people excited. And either way, I'm happy. Honestly, I just want to see what it's looking like.
The thing that's confusing to me is if they were to do that, why didn't they do that at the Game Awards? It's a much bigger audience, right?
I don't know. But you know why? Because Xbox developer directs are much cooler, Hargeet.
They're trying to make it into
I like their directs. I like the way they're run. They're really well done. So and much better than freaking Game Award show. I can't stand the theatrics and all that crap that go on with that Game Award show. I like the games and the announcements they showed this year. It was probably the best Game Award show, or last year I should say. But yeah, I don't care for the theatrics. So I like the developer direct because they're direct.
Yeah, it's directly from, they're like literally interviewing the director.
Yeah, exactly. I like those.
And then you usually get some good gameplay with it. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other interesting parts about this, but is it first or third person? I guess it's going to be first person, but it should be third person. That's another thing that's kind of an interesting question there. Should it be Harrison Ford? It probably won't be, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one that they're going to release that. I mean, it was due anyways, right? So Machine Games they're due to release a game, so.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise
me. It could be. Yeah, I'm not saying that it won't be. I just am speculating that it may not come out this year, but they just might be like pushing it and showing us and getting us hype, and that's fine. Whatever the case is, because 2024 for Xbox anyway is pretty good. I mean, we've got three or four first party games coming this year that are in the AAA. We've got Hellblade 2. What else do we have coming from Avowed? Maybe? Yeah.
You got it looks like Indiana Jones. Obviously, you have Call of Duty. We can't ignore that. Yeah. Flight Sim 2024.
Flight Sim. Yeah.
There's potential for Contraband.
Dude, that's one we have to talk about. So I'm seeing rumors, people talking about Contraband. And supposedly there's people that have actually seen it and are telling others within the community that it looks really good.
Yep.
That really get hyped for that game. And so
Mag was saying that, right?
I'm already getting hyped for it because I want to see what Avalanche and the team has brought us with this game. And I know it's supposed to be like co-op or whatever, but I can play a co-op game if it's well done. If it's good.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that looks like it's going to be good. There's still Stalker.
Stalker's the one that I heard is more of a stinker, but we'll see.
We'll see.
In great shape when people played it at Gamescom, I believe, last year.
Yeah. There's Towerborn. There's still Clockwork and South of Midnight, so Clockwork Revolution and South of Midnight.
Clockwork looks good, man. That one is the game that kind of looks like BioShock.
Yes, yeah. From In Exile.
Yep.
And then South of Midnight. That's another potential. There's a potential for Forza Horizon because they're due. So they're 3 years out from their last release, so they're due for another one. So maybe that comes out this year, right? We haven't heard about everything else from ABK yet, right? There's still Blizzard stuff, and Blizzard also has the Diablo 4 expansion And then World of Warcraft has this.
And remember, they're working on that survival game too. That big game that they announced.
Yeah, exactly.
That they were working on. So they've got that in the pipeline. I don't know when that's dropping.
I don't know when. Exactly. I don't know when that's going to be announced, right? But that's an announcement that could be coming, and I don't know if it comes out this year or not. There's other Activision games that are in the works as well, and so there's so much.
Good old Refudge Gaming. Look at that pic, man. I freaking love it. He says, I love Colin. He could e-beg a bit more, but I like him. Refudge, you were the king of e-begging for sure.
I see.
Yeah, and I saw a post earlier, and no, I did not forget Danny. Danny Passion Official with a $5 super chat. My good friend Danny. He says, today I installed AMD Fluid Motion Frames preview that doubled the FPS to my ROG Ally. Mind-blowing. I was running MW3, Modern Warfare 3, Ultra Graphics, still 80 plus FPS.
That's pretty cool,
insane.
Man. That's pretty cool.
If you can do that on a ROG, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That is really cool, man. Yeah, like I said, man, I guess the price point, the entry point anyway to PC is getting cheaper with these handhelds.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? People keep thinking I have to buy the big desktops. Like, no, look, this is what the handhelds allow you to do. And then you can take it with you or just dock it. And keep it docked permanently if you like. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you can use them as a PC. They're Windows. So
TV, right? So
yep.
And yeah, that's it. You've got yourself a PC.
And Brigadier's Blue, thank you very much for the $5. He said, glad to finally have the time to catch the show live again. Been a crazy past few months, but happy to catch GTL. Thank you very much, Brigadiers. I appreciate you, man. It's good that you're here live, though. That's different. Usually you're not. So welcome. Jax82, thank you for the 2. He says, the Fonz and Hargeet show, this will be epic. It's already epic. It's the first one, the first, show that we've been co-hosts here, and I really enjoyed this one. This was a fun show, and they're going to be fun in the future. We're all going to enjoy each other's company here on the Games Talk Live podcast. Thank you guys for showing up today. I appreciate all of you. But is there anything else? Oh yeah, there was one other thing I got to talk about. Colt, stop making sizzle reels, man. Stop it. All right, don't make sizzle reels for Xbox. You shouldn't do that. Bad Colt. Bad Colt. Yeah, don't do that. Some people don't like it out there.
The other big one is and I don't know if we need to talk about it or not, is the massive layoffs already starting.
Oh, yeah. 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 Why are these massive layoffs continuing to happen in the industry?
Yeah, I guess it's just right sizing. There's a lot of some companies are doing okay, but some companies are not. And as things are sort of leveling out, it looks like there's going to be more layoffs. But we're in excess of 2,000, if not more than 2,300, 2,500 layoffs already. And it's just the beginning of January. So,
well, do you think that this has anything to do with COVID and the surge of people at home playing games? And then
it does.
All these companies have really bulked up on developers and stuff, and now they're kind of trimming the fat because people are back to work and
right. And they made assumptions, right? The ones that were understanding that, hey, this is a blip and it's going to come back, are doing a little bit better, right? But some of them made assumptions that, hey, we got a whole bunch of growth, we're just going to keep growing in that. That's not going to happen, right? Reality does have a limit. There's only so many people and only so much time those people have. And so that was going to switch, right? And once people can go outside and do other things, they're going to go outside and do other things. That is an option.
Touch grass, people.
Yeah, literally, right? So it was always going to, come down a bit, and so you had to expect that. And if you're going to surge, you also have to understand you're going to come down. So that's just really what's been happening. It's like a right sizing across the board, right? So it's not just in gaming; it's everywhere. But this year so far, gaming has taken quite a hit. But
it's unfortunate.
It is, but yeah, that kind of sucks. And there's going to be more. There'll be more. It's unfortunate, but there'll be more.
It really is. Hopefully, though, we can I don't know. These people can get some. I said we because I'm currently jobless myself. I'm like, I hope we could get some jobs soon. That's really what I'm hoping for. Yeah. So, anyways, if we got nothing else, Hargeet, we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Good enough.
All right. So, I want to let everybody know. I want to thank everybody in the chat first and foremost for coming here today and checking out the show with me and Hargeet. We appreciate you a lot. And all of those listening after the fact on demand out there on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the podcast streaming platforms. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys too. Hargeet, do you have anything to say?
Thanks for watching, and check us out next week, and we'll have more information, or actually whatever the output is of the developer direct, right?
For sure.
That I'm sure will be the majority topic.
We're gonna have fun with
PlayStation
that.
will get some games. I'm sorry.
What? All right. On that note, game on, everybody.